This is Pat Matthews of Pat Matthews Productions, and I want to welcome you to Beatles-orama TV, your favorite interviews and video, all in one place, right here on Beatles-orama TV. Beatles-orama TV is on the air.
Naughty boy, you let your face grow long. I am the Eggman. They are the Eggmen.
Hello, Beatle people. You saw that shirt? Well, guess what? If you donate to our GoFundMe at $50, you get a free shirt. Okay? We were selling those shirts for $30 before, but hey, donations help. So go to the GoFundMe page, gofundme.com, and type in Beatles-orama in the search bar. Okay? We're presented by NEMS, Terry Crain. Good stuff. Check his website out. It's right here on the screen. All right? And also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. That'll help us out a lot. Hi, it's Pat Matthews, or should I say Murray the K. And welcome to Beatles-orama TV, where we have a great interview today with a Beatles author who is my best friend, and he is Terry Crain. He has written a book about NEMS. I forget the subtitle. He'll tell us. And then also his latest book, Copywriting the Beatles, which is fabulous. So let's welcome Terry to the show.
Oh, darling, please believe me.
So Terry, tell us a little bit about your latest book, Copywriting the Beatles.
Well-
How did you do this research?
Well, as I was, I always do the first one too, which is the memorabilia, 64 to 66. And as I was out researching that, especially out in the Library of Congress, because I was looking for copyright dates and what items were copyrighted and not copyrighted. As I was looking out there for the Beatles stuff, I kept running into other items listed in the Library of Congress that were Beatles or Beatles related that I had no idea what these were. And I kept looking at them, and I couldn't focus in on them very much because I was doing the research for the other book. But I kept thinking to myself, when I'm done with the research and writing of the NEMS book, I'm going to revisit those items out in the copyright because maybe there's something out there. Well, little did I know that, quote, something out there was it led to a 3-volume set of books about copyrights that are out in the Library of Congress about the Beatles or Beatles related. And I've done a lot of research, so I had half a clue, but I had no idea on many of these things of how many people during 1964, especially 1964, but 1964 through 66, how many people would draw a picture of Ringo and say, this is so good, and I'm going to make $1 million off of this. I'm going to go copyright it, and then I'm going to go sell it. Well, it didn't sell, but they did that with drawings. They did it with records about the Beatles. They did it with TV scripts. They did it with spoken word scripts. They did it with other games, other toys, all this other stuff that I had no idea was even out there. And it never, a lot of this never went anywhere. They copyrighted it, but then they couldn't sell it or they couldn't get it manufactured or whatever. So it just died. But that copyright is still out there. It's still public record. And I kept running across more and more of these, and I had no idea. So that's what led to this book here. So what I've done is I've put them in chronological order. And that's just how you read it. And you just wonder, these people walked into the Library of Congress almost every day and got a license issued got a copyright issued for this certain thing or whatever. And everything is out there. All the Beatles songs that got copyrighted are out there. All the novel, almost all the novelty records are out there, the copyright and everything. So if you give me I just wanted to show you something. It's in chronological order, like I said. So on March 5th, right here, they copyrighted World Without Love. That, if you remember, Peter and Gordon did. All right. Well, the next day, out in the copyright, you got We Love You Beatles, the big novelty record, was copyrighted. So I tell you a little bit about the copyright of what happened with that. Well, the same day, March 6th, we got copyrighted another novelty record called We Love 'Em All, about
Is that in volume 3, Terry?
Do what?
Is this in volume 3 that you're?
This is just volume 1, but it goes on and on like that every day. I tell you what happened out there, and you're thinking, well, Monday through Friday. No, there's some copyrights listed on Saturdays. There's some even listed on Sundays. It was a busy time out in the Library of Congress.
You can have volume 100 and still not get everything.
So think of this. I went from 64 to 66 because that seems to be the time frame that I like. It's right after they quit touring. It's right before Yellow Submarine. There seems to be, in my mind, there's a line drawn, especially with the NIMS dolls and all the stuff. There's kind of a line drawn right there. So I like that line. So think of this. I found over 900 copyrights from 64 to 66. I didn't even go. I started flipping into where the 67 with Sergeant Pepper and all that. I'm thinking, I got to get out of here because there might be another 1,000 things that were copyrighted from 67 on that was Beatles and Beatles related. People think, well, is this just a book about what the Beatles copyrighted? Oh, no. There is so many things out there that other people copyrighted trying to make.
Did somebody do a Play-Doh bust of John Lennon?
Well, I don't know about they got all kind of sculptures and busts and everything out there. They do that. And even speaking of that, I told you that were over 900 things copyrighted. Just the novelty records alone, there's 300 of those that are copyrighted out there. And Pat, as you might know,
how many of those do you have, Terry?
Do what?
How many of those do you own?
Right now, I only own about 20 or 25, but I'm afraid what has happened to me that, everybody has their little thing about what they like to collect in Beatle world. And as well as I, you can't collect everything. So you got to find your little niche. Well, the NIM stuff was part of my niche. Well, I'm afraid now Beatle novelty records have ended up being a niche for me. So I can tell you about the Beatles for Ringo for president, and look at the ones he's got right there in his hand. Exactly. And I can tell you about the first novelty record that was ever made, which was
All I Want for Christmas is a Beatle
by Dora Bryant. That was copyrighted in late 63. And you get My Boyfriend
got a Beatle haircut.
Got a Beatle haircut, and you're if you're not Beatle crazy, which is one, maybe you're a Liverpool, maybe you need to do the Liverpool beat and see if you are. But it's and some people look at the novelty records as they're so bad they're good. Well, they are. You get sucked into those things. And there's some of the coolest things ever out there. Once you get by how cheap they were recorded and all that.
Well, as I was telling you before, Terry, we were awfully close to relaunching Beatles-orama internet radio again. And today, ironically enough, I was working on novelty songs, and I have, not physically have the records themselves, but I have the songs on my hard drive. I got like 50 to 60 of them.
Yeah.
And I put pretty much all of them in there today.
And you know what? You could sit and listen to those, and part of you thinks, "What in the world is
Some
going
of them are
on?"
really well produced.
Some of them are really well produced. And the thing about the novelty records that I don't think many people realize is that some of the people who produced them and some of the people who are on them, like Glenn Campbell and Leon Russell and Harry Nielsen,
Share.
and just the Standells. Chuck Berry had a couple Liverpool Ferry and stuff like that. I mean, you got so many that Ella Fitzgerald does a wonderful one that she wrote herself called
Hmm.
Ringo Beat. It's so that history is what is so interesting to me.
Well, I had forgotten that the Standells played like a Beatle knockoff band on the Munsters episode. And and I was reading about that in your book today.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's funny you said that. I'm looking through streaming channels last night and I run across the Munsters. So I gotta find that episode. And I watched that whole episode and it's great. That's a must-see TV for any Beatle fan or fan of this genre. You've got to see that.
I think you'll understand when
That you've got to see the F Troop episode where the rock and roll band is in that. You got to see the Gilligan's Island episode where the rock and roll band is in that. It's just they're all
Yeah,
great like
yeah. The
that.
Flintstones, even. This is something I wanted to ask you about the NEMS book. This is the first edition, right?
This is the first edition. It was the hardcover
Okay,
coffee table style book.
that's right. And now it's out of print or sold out, or how do you say it?
Sold out. I've printed 1,000 copies to get it going, and we sold all 1,000. So now we've moved on to the second edition,
Ah,
which did the updates, more edited a little bit, added some text, more pictures and everything, and we made it into a soft cover. So you can take it around with you under your arm when you go to conferences or festivals or whatever to look things up.
and talking about the copywriting the Beatles book, the soft cover, when is that one going to be available to people?
The soft
Have-
cover will be available soon. Right now, we got the hardcover available, and it's available at Golden Oldies 60s, or it's available at the fabgear.company website. There's
Your
two
website,
ways,
yeah,
two sites
yeah.
you can get it right now.
And
And
it's three
both
books. It's the 3 volumes for 165, right?
3 volumes, 165. But what it is, the 165, I do the shipping, I do and all that.
That's
And you
included.
know as well as I, when you get the hardcover and the weight and everything, and how much shipping is now, it's just a flat rate.
So
And
you lose money,
we'll
is
get
what
it
you're
to you.
saying. Huh?
Yeah, we'll get it to you. And it's US only right now. I'm already getting some
Really?
Should I give you
Ah,
my
well,
address now?
yeah. Send it to me later in the thing.
I went on your website, fabgear.company, and I was looking at this book, and it said signed and wait, signed and hardcover.
Yep.
And I was okay. This is not the hardcover, is it?
Nope, that's a soft cover.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, those aren't even being
You're not even selling
advertised
these.
yet.
You're not even selling these yet.
Correct.
Ah, okay.
So you talk about having a coup and a one-off item right there. See, that adds to your collection right there. This is
You
right.
know, and one of the funny things about that particular thing with the Standells was that the drummer noted, and you have it in the book, that he said it was one of the crappiest, basically, recordings, that they did when they actually recorded the songs. He said they used one microphone for the whole band and the singer and the background singers and everything. So that was pretty on the cheap, I think.
Yeah, you know what? I watched that carefully in the episode last night. If you listen to it on the episode, it's actually not that bad.
Right.
Because I was like you, I was waiting for the worst moment here when they did that, but they edited it in really good, so it's fine. So it's those background stories, which is what led to this book and what led to the NIMS book about the items. This is the background stories that I like so well.
So tell us a little bit about your background, Terry.
Well, I was worked at
College professor, huh?
worked at a community college. I was dean for student service. Did all kind of things like
Listen,
that.
I taught at a community college too, and I told people I was a college professor, so it's okay for you to do it too.
There you go. But one of the things I did many things there over my 30 plus years there. One of the things I did there is I put together a college level class about the Beatles, and it was
Oh,
accredited to the state and all that kind of stuff. So
wow.
kids got to take it and put it on their transcripts that they took that course. And the only reason why I quit teaching it is my job descriptions were changing a little bit and I had more responsibilities, so I couldn't do that anymore, which was a shame. But
Yeah.
that was fun to be able to do uh, part of your passion within your work like that.
So what year did your syllabus start?
No. Oh, the syllabus started in the 60s. I mean, the
50? Yeah.
late 50s and into the 60s is where the syllabus started. And we had a great time. I had quote regular college age students in there, and I had the quote older generation students in there, and everybody did fine. Everybody loved it.
Did the older generation students get better grades than the younger?
Yes, they did. They did. They love that because they like many of us, they were there. They went through that. They loved it, stuff
First
like that.
generation.
First
Mhm.
generation,
Yeah.
and I'm old. I can remember I was 8 years old when the Beatles were on Ed Sullivan on the black and white TV in my mom and dad's front living room. So I can remember that. But it's stuff like that that just sticks in your head. I can remember that. I can remember the first time I saw the George doll. This is Ringo here, but the first time I saw the George doll sitting in my older sister's bedroom, I can, that stuff.
Did you steal
I
it from her?
do what?
Did you steal it from her?
No, she still
Oh.
has it. She knows I want it. And I realized over the years, those items and everything like that are like memory triggers. I've had, if I give presentations about the NIMS items, the Beetle items in the United States and all that, if I give presentations about that, I always have people come up to me afterwards and tell me how much they started remembering when they would start looking through this. And they would go, you know what? I had 20 of those items and I didn't know they made these other, 80 or 90, whatever. And it is fascinating to listen and find stuff like that out because I could talk to maybe somebody who lived through it during the early 60s and did that, and their collection was huge and all that. But then you start realizing that not everybody in the US had all 150 of the Beetle items like that.
Right.
It was all sometimes it was compelled by where you lived in the United States. The
Mhm.
New York area, the Los Angeles area, the Chicago area might have more actual Beetle items than sitting in Southern Illinois or something like that, because some of those items didn't get shipped down this way or maybe to Louisiana or wherever else. And I never even put two and two together about that until I start talking to people, is that some of the items are so unique and all that even the big cities might have them, but they might not think that they're going to sell Beatles ukuleles in somewhere in rural Tennessee, so they never shipped them there. So that's why some of the people never even saw some of these items when they were growing up.
So you started collecting Beatle records when you were 8?
No, my sister did. When
Yeah.
I was 8, she had them. My first one that I ever bought with my own money. I think I went down to the local Woolworth store in, I think it was 68 or 68, and I bought Revolution by the Beatles. And I'll tell you why. I would listen to KXOK out of St. Louis, Missouri all the time. That was the big
Hmm.
hit station back there. And every time Revolution came on, I never heard the beginning of it. I always heard like the middle of the song or the end. I never really got to the beginning. And it wasn't until about a month or so after I was listening to the radio and that song was hot that I finally heard the opening guitar chords in Revolution. I'm going, whoa, what is this? I go, well, that's the same song.
That's right.
So I had to go out and buy it. So I
Then
did.
you flipped it over and Hey Jude was on the other side.
Exactly. Exactly. It was a great coup. And somewhere I do still have that one.
Yeah, yeah. When I was a kid, so I'm 4 years older than you, and I started buying Beatle records. My dad gave me for Christmas a record player that December 1963, and he didn't know what he had. He had the MGM, the Deutsche Grammophon thing, with I forget what songs are Cry for Shadows on it and that kind of
Sure.
stuff. And that was my first Beatle album. And then after that, I was hooked. I saw him on Sullivan a couple of months later, and then I, started to like save my money. And at the beginning, all I could afford was the mono pressings of everything because it was cheaper than the stereo, right? So I did that for a long time, and then didn't realize that at the time that that was going to be worth a lot of money. Not only that, but in Louisiana, I had a TG&Y store. I don't know if you've ever heard of those stores, but they were like a TG&Y is like a dime, 10 cents or whatever they called it. But I bought Yesterday and Today,
Yeah.
and I ended up in mono and ended up having the butcher cover underneath the pasted on cover after they recalled them, and I ruined it. So I don't admit that to too many people, but but it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
He said,
Yeah.
somebody says, I said, how do you do this? And they said, well, you hold it over the stove, you got to boil some water and the steam comes up and it didn't work.
Well, let me show you something real quick. Now that we're talking about this. So one of the things, Pat, when you went to the store and all that to buy stuff like that, what they also started doing in 64 is they would record these weird albums and make them look like the Beatles were on it all. So when mom and dad went to the store and said, our little Jenny needs a new Beatle record. This looks like the Beatles, so let me grab it. So they might have grabbed an album that looked like this.
I have that one.
All right, there's the Mop Tops and all that. Beatlemania.
Right.
Is this the Beatles? Heck no. This is the Liverpools. But they put that in really small print there at the bottom. But by golly, if it says Beatlemania and it's got
I
those,
know, and it's
mom and dad will buy it.
try to make it look like it was a Capitol Records album too.
There is so many of those out there, and that's
so
that's a whole nother genre to get into. Is those kind of
That's
things.
right.
Those are really
That's right.
cool.
Yeah, here, okay. It's for you to use. All right. So Terry, listen, man, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. And I love your books. And I hope everybody goes out and gets one or three or four.
Or three. Pat, have a great time. You guys always do a wonderful job here. I'm a big fan of you, Warren, and your
Thank you.
Beatles Rama TV, all that kind of stuff that you guys do. And whatever you need, let me know.
You got it.
All right.
Thanks, Terry.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching.
And
All right. Well, listen, Terry, it's been great talking to you today, man. And Warren's going to work his magic on this, and we'll be able to see it sooner than you know. And then remember, Beatles-orama Radio is coming back, internet radio, and you're going to be our first sponsor. That's the great thing about it.
Yeah, and let me know. I'll get that PR'd out on all my sites and everything, so we'll get going with that.
That's right. You get that Jennifer Vanderslice to tell us all about it, okay?
Exactly.
you know,
Fans Paradise. This is Pat Matthews of Pat Matthews Productions, and I want to welcome you to Beatles-orama TV, your favorite interviews and videos, all in one place, right here on Beatles-orama TV, our YouTube channel.